My mother loved Christmas. Around the holidays, every square inch of our two-story, middle-class Midwestern home would be covered in gaudy holiday decor. The door to our back porch even had an animated Santa Claus face, and it would spring to life when anyone would come within 200 feet of our home. This haunted Santa wouldn't wait for company to stop by. No, instead, sometimes a strong wind would find its way to our doorstep, and that jolly old Saint Nick would greet that gust of wind with giant belly laughs and a 3-minute version of Jingle Bells, complete with a full orchestra fit for a concert hall. I don't know where my mother found such a torturous device, but we owned 2 of them. One of them mysteriously broke one year, yet we still hung its lifeless head on our door like some sort of sick tribal warning to all the other malfunctioning decorations. Every year, my mother would set up a different manger scene in every room of our vast country home, some with fictional characters even. Like the one that sat on top of our cabinet in the bathroom, it featured the Mickey Mouse gang admiring baby Jesus. How festive. The most beautiful set, of course, was displayed on top of our microwave in the kitchen with pride, so that when guests came over, they too could admire and give praise to our 2-inch plastic baby Jesus. This, I think, is truly how God herself would want it. This very special manger scene had everything: fake snow flooring, fencing, and even some livestock. One year we were a wise man short, so I replaced him with one of my Ninja Turtle action figures. I liked adding the idea of Michelangelo bringing nunchucks and pizza to the unauthorized story of baby Jesus, but my mother, she failed to see the humor in it. We had a fake tree that we stored up in the loft of our garage. The same loft I used to retreat to when I was a teenager to smoke cigarettes and look at deteriorating Playboy magazines. Like most Playboy magazines that were owned by teenage boys, most of the pages were stuck together. Not for the reasons you think, no, it was because I kept them stored in a damp loft space above our riding lawnmower. Because of my deviant stash of damp loft paraphernalia, I always volunteered to be the one who crawled up and dragged down the boxes of decorations and our Christmas tree every year. I can still feel the weight of dragging that large cardboard box down the rough gravel driveway. Everything is heavier when you're a kid. I don't know if it's because I was weaker back then or that I would rather jump off the roof and break both of my legs instead of taking part of one single chore around the house. Once inside, my mother and I would unpack the branches piece by piece. We'd lay them out neatly onto the living room floor before assembling the old family fire hazard. The Christmas ballads of Mariah Carey and Bing Crosby would fill our home with a familiar warmth as they blared from my stepfather's 6-disc CD changer. Strands of what seemed like never-ending multicolored lights would be pouring out of these large Rubbermaid totes, each neatly labeled on the side in perfect cursive, "Nancy's Christmas Stuff," as if Santa himself wrote it. Hours we would spend decorating this tree, which, in my opinion, was way too fucking big for our middle-class living room. It was tall and round and had big chunks missing around the belly that my mother always fluffed out and was able to cover up. That's what moms do best. They fix and fluff all the ugly parts so other people don't notice. I never had the patience for such a task. I would tug and pull and fluff on a branch for about 3 minutes before moving on to the next section in defeat. I know that doesn't sound like a lot of time, but teenagers experience time the same way dogs do. Which means 3 adult minutes is actually 21 minutes to a teenager. My mother, however, she would take the time and she would do it right. My mother was a master of this craft. She knew how to manipulate every individual hair on those branches into looking like they were full of life and could hold the weight of 10,000 pounds of Christmas joy. Each bulb she placed felt like it's exactly where it should be. The dancing multicolored lights that were firmly wrapped around the tree would bounce off my mother's china cabinets that were actually not filled with fine china. No, instead my mother had every square inch of those tiny shelves occupied by oversized 14-inch porcelain angels. Some sort of adult doll collection with just a hint of Jesus. They were beautiful dolls, I'll admit it. I'm an atheist, and I even enjoyed looking at them from time to time. They provided a sense of calmness. Maybe that's why my mother collected them. Maybe she felt protected or looked after. And who doesn't like that? The star on top of our tree used to belong to my mother's mother's mother. It was huge. Everything they made back in the 1930s was misshaped or larger than it needed to be. They just didn't know any better back then. Not that we're so much smarter these days, but at least all of our shitty American-made products are sized correctly. That Roosevelt-era star would graze the rough spackling of our ceiling as the sides of the tree would spill over on top of the arms and backs of my mother's white-on-white couch and love seat. And my mother and I, we would turn off all the house lights and take in all of our hard work. Well, mostly my mother's hard work. Christmas was a special time for my mother. I never got around to asking her why it meant so much to her. Questions like that you don't really think about when you're a kid. When you're young, most of the questions you have revolve around food and what time you're going to eat said food. Maybe she really did like that feeling of being watched over, protected. Much like her large porcelain angels, that feeling of Santa watching over all of us around the holidays, it just feels nice, you know? The older you get, the more you long for someone, anyone, to just give one single fuck about you. We spend a lot of our lives getting cut off in traffic, dealing with heartbreak, or overlooked at our jobs. So yeah, it would be nice to have someone checking in on you every once in a while. Even if it meant you had to sit on an elderly stranger's lap and whisper your wishes into their ear. I hated Christmas the first few years after my mother died. I yearned to be one of those people who would escape to Hawaii for a long holiday. I thought I could be happy becoming that asshole who sends a Christmas card from the beach with a clever pun on it like, "Wish you were beer." I'd be wearing bright floral swim trunks while holding a Bud Light above my head like a trophy. But that's not who I am, or who I really want to be. I miss my mother the most around the holidays. I miss her laughter around the tree. I miss the joy she exuded giving everyone their gifts, her cooking. But most of all, I miss her fixing and fluffing all my ugly parts so other people don't notice. I still have a few boxes in a storage unit in the small town of where I grew up. And they're labeled Nancy's Christmas stuff. I don't know what's in them or if I'll ever be strong enough to open them without her.